So what are we unboxing today? Well, you guys have all heard of the Supernova. Well, the Supernova, the TL3 PRO, it is a super bright taillight with flashing light and deceleration brake light. Now, these taillights are super popular here on the East Coast. And if you are on the West Coast and had your e-bike upgraded by our boy Reno, then I know he has introduced them to you too. The Supernova retails at about $109. So what's so special about this brake light? Well, it looks almost exactly like the Supernova, except it won't break the bank. This taillight will run you about $15.99. And we're about to get into it. So the budget Supernova has about 60 LEDs, so it makes it very bright. It's also a little bit larger than the Supernova. Supernova is a lot easier to install. You only have 2 wires, power and ground. The Supernova has a gyro inside of it that senses deceleration, allowing it to flash. This flashing pattern alerts those that are behind you that you are about to brake. After it flashes, it stays steady on. It's brightly lit, just like a brake light would, a lot brighter than the existing taillight. And our budget Supernova, it has a 5-wire connection. It gives you the color and the command of each of the wires. Now red would be like the deceleration function of the Supernova. All right, so before we get started, some of the tools that you're gonna need are these. So before we get started, I've been working on color grading my videos, and right now I'm utilizing G-Log from the GoPro camera. And this is the standard color correction of the GoPro. Now, which do you prefer? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, so these are some of the tools that we're gonna use. I will be soldering up our connections. I will also be utilizing a multimeter, because I don't know if this runs off of 12 volts or if it runs off of 5 volts. Now, a budget-friendly Supernova runs from 10 volts all the way up to 80 volts. So if the lights from our Soldering run off of 5 volts, we will not be able to use these. In our previous unboxing, I installed a different taillight and brake light. These were the wires that came off of the existing taillight from the Soldering, and those are the wires that we're going to be using. So we want to test those wires. We're going to turn on the multimeter. You're going to put it on DC voltage, which is the V with the straight line, not the one with the wavy line. After that, you are going to take your 2 prongs, your positive and negative. Keep in mind that when we do this test, if the wires are reversed, our display will show us a negative sign. All right, so this wire that's alone, this goes up to my switch. These 2 that are harnessed together, these are the existing Soldering taillight wires. I'll put 1 prong into one side, the other on the other side, and I have negative 12 volts. So when we switch it around, we will have a positive 12 volts, just like that. All right, so this one here on the right-hand side, that's the negative. This one on the left-hand side is the positive, and this is my switched 12 volts. This is my 3-position switch. If I turn it all the way up, my headlights turn on. If I turn it all the way down, my headlights turn on, but the brake light, or the tail light, I should say, turns off. All right, so now that we know our light function, let's just quickly connect this and see all the functions of this budget Supernova. All right, so for right now, I'm putting the light here. According to the instructions, the black is the ground, so let's temporarily insert it. Red was the brake light, and voila, there you have it. I have a light on over here. Let's shut that off and get a better idea of what it's gonna look like. Now, it's pretty bright. Now, if you noticed, when you hit the brake lever, you're gonna get that flashing pattern. That is the same flashing that you get from the Supernova. Now let's see if my switch is on. My switch is not on. So let's turn the switch on. Now that would be the tail light. And if we were driving and we hit the brake lever, that's what you'd see. Just like the Supernova. All right, now these 2 wires over here, these are for turn signals. Let's see what those look like. Not bad at all for $15.99. Ideally, I would want the brake lever to turn on the brake light function of this light. But the Soldering is not equipped with a brake light output. So that's one problem we're gonna have. The Soldering also is not equipped with turn signals. So I will not be able to utilize the turn signal function. So for right now, I'll only be able to utilize the taillight function. So that'll be the black for ground and the white for the taillights. And I have another problem, the mounting bracket. The mounting bracket is not designed for this style. So we're gonna have to modify a bracket to mount onto here. Now I may just have something that works. Now, back in the day, I used to work on cars, and installing radios and speakers was my forte. So I might just have something that I can use to make a bracket. Oh, and I also installed alarms and remote starts. And that's what that bird's nest is. That was a remote start. But I do not have something called a back strap. Or at least in this box I don't. Let's move on. I don't know if you guys know what this is. This is sound deadening material. This is what we used to use to keep those license plates from rattling when the bass went boom. Respirators for fiberglass. Oh my God, we are bringing back memories. DVDs. Flip down monitors. Oh my God, are we going back? Glue sticks. More glue sticks. Staple gun. Everything but back straps. More bird's nests. A case from an original iPhone. The Holy Bible. Did anyone ever collect these? I am going down memory lane right now. I have to have a back strap in one of these bags. Damn, the dust is killing me. A tone generator. Some material for enclosures. Oh wow. This is some serious equipment. Do you remember taking these out of radios? No back straps, but I know who can help me. All right, so I know my dad has back straps right here. So this is a back strap. We'll just cut it down to the size we need, and we'll hope that these holes line up. And we'll just need some nuts and bolts to secure it to the bike. And then once this is cut, we'll take this and we will mount it onto the existing bracket. I'll be making my cut right here. These are tin snips. This is a yellow colored tin snip. This is perfect for making a straight cut. There's red and there's green. And the red and the green, they're used for angled cuts. The wiring, we're gonna follow this notch over here. And I'll utilize this black tape to insulate the wires. I want to use as much of these wires as I can because my plan is to bury the wires inside here. And if you want to, you can spray paint this. All right, so here is my bracket. This is the nut and bolt that I'm going to use to attach the bracket. So as thin as I thought that this bolt was, it is definitely too thick to go inside here. So we're gonna have to open up these holes. What are we gonna need? A unibit and a drill. Ideally, I would use a unibit. It's a lot easier. Over here, I only have straight bits. I don't have a unibit in the house. This is a 1/4" drill bit. Now I'm going to use that to open up this hole now. If your drill bit is sharp, it should make a hole pretty quickly. Once the bolt is through, I have a nut and a lock washer that I will be attaching on the other side. All right, now that the bracket is mounted, we can mount the taillight. Once the taillight is mounted, we can fasten it with the nuts that it comes with. All right, you'll notice that there's some play here. It's because it's missing 2 of the push tabs that holds it in place. One on this side or 2 on this side, and 1 on this side. All right, so after the taillight is mounted, we can connect our wires. All right, so this is the taillight wire, this is the brake light wire, this is the ground wire. These 2 over here, these are the turn signal wires that we're not gonna use. I'm gonna tuck the wires underneath the fender, make my connections over here, and then tuck all of these back inside the fender. I do have this extra wire that throws out 12 volts with one of the switches up there, so it's not going to be a brake switch, but if I ever want to like turn the flashing portion of the brake light on, I could show people how it works just by flipping the switch over there. Soldering station, solder, heat shrink, probably this one is what we're going to use, and we should be good to go. My black is my ground. I tore back the insulation over here. It looks like it's a green wire, and we will join these together. Put my heat shrink over my wire. Put it as far back as possible so it doesn't heat up, because if it heats up, then it'll be hard to pass the heat shrink over the soldered wires. And now I'm ready to solder. Before we solder, we want to heat this up. Try to clean that tip off. Make that tip nice and shiny. And when we're ready to solder, we want to heat up that wire, then feed it solder. Then after they're together, we can throw over this heat shrink, and then we'll work on the positive. All right, once we determine where our wires are gonna go, we can trim them to size, get another piece of heat shrink, put the heat shrink all the way to the back, join the 2 wires together. Once they're more or less the way I want them, we can begin to solder. Once it's hot, feed in the solder. Then after they're soldered, we can slide over that heat shrink. All right, so I messed up because this is the brake line, and I wanted the brake to be on a switch. So the tail light was supposed to go here. So we're gonna have to redo that one. All right, now we're down to the red wire. This time I put the heat shrink on this side because this wire is longer, way longer. Keep it far away from where we're soldering so the heat shrink doesn't heat up. And then we're gonna join these 2 wires together. Try to make it like a straight line. And let's solder these together. All right, the only thing left to do is to heat up the heat shrink, and we're good to go. All right, next up, we will hit the heat shrink with a little bit of heat. Has been heated up. We are good to put these wires away. But before we do, how about we test this bad boy out? Turn on the switch. All right, there you go. We have our budget-friendly Supernova Pro. All right, so that's the tail light, and that would be the brake light function. All right, so we want to bury this bird's nest, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the fender down. We're gonna tuck this wire in here, and everything else will go underneath here. And once they're neatly tucked away, we can put those push tabs back inside. All right, so there you have it. This is the budget-friendly alternative to the Supernova TL3 Pro. So I am out of time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't hesitate to smash that like button. Leave a comment. I get back to everybody. And if you want to, please subscribe. So until the next video, peace out, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna leave you guys with some photos. I'm hoping that I can bring out that color because I am color grading on this and I am not 100% sure how good this video color is gonna come out.